Hello, everybody. Welcome. Sorry about the weird audio earlier. Had some audio issues. Hello, Jeremy and Subglitch. Nope, Maddie's here, of course. Hey, Revital. All right. So, how is everybody doing? What have you all been playing? So, in case you don't know me, I'm Ben. I do music for indie games. You probably know me from FTL or Into the Breach. Hey, Obraxis, welcome. I don't know if you've heard this yet, but anyway, I'm working on the music for Subnautica Below Zero, the standalone DLC for Subnautica. I did not work on the original Subnautica, I just joined for this. And today, I'm going to show you a piece I'm working on for the Kelp Caves area, since Jeff on the audio team pointed out to me that I hadn't made music for it yet, and it was an area that's pretty much done and established and in the game and has been in the game for a while, and totally have not made anything for it yet. So that's what I've been working on. I showed a little bit of it on Friday, and I've been working on it since then. And so that's what you heard during the intro, but I'll play it again here for everybody. The Kelp Caves are a network of tunnels and caves that kind of have a unique atmosphere, and it's also where the sea monkeys have nests that you can scan because they have parts and stuff in them, and you can get blueprints from them. It's actually pretty cool. Oh, Subglitch got bored with Void Bastards. Oh man, you gotta give it some more time. Hey TJ. Alright, let's take a listen to this. This is for the Kelp Caves section. Hey, TL. Alright, so that's all I have so far. But it's in really good shape. I'm way into it. I'm really happy with how it sounds. I'm very excited to get it into the game. I hope to have it done by the end of today. Or, you know, have a draft done by the end of the day to put in the game. Yeah, it's pretty fun and cool, and it has a different vibe from a lot of the other tracks that I've done. I tried to have it be less like huge space echoey, because the kelp caves are like a more confined space. So there's more like a bit more bass going on, and less like cathedral like open space. I'm glad y'all like it. And as you can see, we're using Cubase 10 for this one. I'm definitely getting used to Cubase 10, and I went back working on a different piece. Ended up working on back in Cubase 7 for a previous piece that I did, and it was actually a bit tough to go back to already. It didn't take very long for me to get used to 10. The split view is incredibly useful. I love it. So anyway, TJ's got a quest. Have you done or are going to do Intense like Red Alert or Leviathan from the original soundtrack? Music for Below Zero. Yes. Almost certainly. I'm not really sure, because I've played the original Below Zero quite a bit, actually, lots. And I can't actually recall where Intense music actually showed up. It could be just because I play Subnautica really cautiously, I don't know. But it's so I'm not really sure, like I gotta check it out or ask the team like how it shows up in the game, because I really can't remember, even though I've put in like 200 hours into the original Subnautica. So yeah. But yeah, I plan on doing something more intense for whatever scenes need it. Did you catch? Okay, Jeremy asked, did you happen to catch WWDC? I don't know what that is. And see that main stage or Logic demo? I did not. I don't know what any of that means. I'm sorry. Oh, if your Cyclops sets on fire, you get red alert. Man, I'll just have to set my Cyclops on fire, I guess. I'm way too cautious in Subnautica to get any of the intense music, I guess. I'm really good about keeping my Cyclops safe. So, tell me about any creative projects you are all working on. I'd love to hear about it. It's always about me sharing my creative stuff here, so you should all get a turn. Larry the Leviathan, that's amazing. I love the name. Yeah, I had a great encounter more recently. I'm playing through the game yet again. And I ended up I found some wreckage out near where there's those the tripod strider things that walk along the seabed, and I parked my Seamoth outside of it and then like swam inside, and then a Leviathan came by and just wrecked my Seamoth and left me stranded. And it was terrifying. Like, I even had a moment where I like turned on my flashlight to look up, and I saw like the underbelly of the Leviathan above, outside of the wreckage that I was inside after it had wrecked my Seamoth. Oh, it was such a perfect Subnautica moment. Making more 8-bit music, cool. You should share it in the Discord. Worldwide Developers Conference. Apple demoed the new Mac Pro running Logic with like 3,000 track piece. Who's making a 3,000 track piece? That's insane. Whoa, a Graphco? You got the Pocket Operator Arcade? How is it? I've been wanting to get one of those. I haven't found the invite for the Discord. Should be down below on this page. Scroll down, and there should be a link to it. Let me just double check on that and make sure there is actually a link on the page. Join the Discord. Yeah, there's a thing here that has the Discord link. Yeah. So scroll down, there's a Discord link right on the page. Yeah, tell me how the Pocket Operator Arcade is. That seems like such a fun thing. Pause this. Cool, good to hear. I might should just go order one of those arcade pocket operators. Just seems like a lot of fun, and I like the size of it. If you don't know what we're talking about, you should go online and search for Pocket Operator Arcade, and you will find what it is. That's very cool. I am coming to the retreat. In fact, yeah, next week I will not be doing the show because I will be out of the country. I'll be in France, which is really weird to think about. But yes, I will be gone, so I'll be at the retreat. But yeah, I will see you there, Abraxas. Abraxas is part of the team. I don't know if I wasn't supposed to give you away there. Sorry. Yeah, and I'm hoping to do a presentation about the music, Obraxis, just sort of sharing all of the music from the game while we're there. I think the team would probably... Oh, Moobot time. Oh, sorry, Agrafco, hang on. Ah, damn, what is... How do I permit someone to put links with Moobot? I forget. So you all heard... Sorry, I say you guys. I gotta stop doing that. You all heard mostly this stuff from last week, most of you. Going to France technically for work, but I think it's going to be a lot of like it's sort of half work and half vacation, or at least that's what I hear from the rest of the team. Since the entire Subnautica team works remotely, or almost the entire Subnautica team, they do retreats where they all get together and talk about the game, and they do it at a different location every time. And this year, it's in the middle of France, and I'm really excited because I've never done a company retreat before, and as working as an indie, not really something you tend to do. Well, yeah, that's not true. When I was at Google, I did the Google ski trip to Lake Tahoe, I guess. But yeah, it's very cool. I'm excited. I've never done anything this elaborate before. So anyway, most of you probably heard the beginning portions last week, and then the stuff I added is mostly like here. I'll start here at this marker 4 here, and this is mostly new stuff. So yeah, this is all sort of new stuff that I added since Friday's show. My favorite thing is this percussion part. That's been pretty fun to do. Whoops. Oh yeah. Here, I'll show you what it is, first of all. So I spent a very long time just making this pattern, this drum pattern here. Here it is. There's the full window of it. And we'll solo that too. Solo, and then we'll put it up here. And I'll even turn off the effects too. So we will bypass. Yeah. Still kind of learning the interface. And it just loops that, right? So that's the start of it. And you can see the drum kit here too. Here, we'll do it again. You can see the different drum parts being played. So yeah, it was sort of a like a trial and error, like taking different parts from this drum kit, placing them, listening to how it sounds, refining it. I still don't. It's not perfect. I don't necessarily really like this clap sound. I might change that. But otherwise, I like how it is. So then, after that, I added this movement effect. So movement is the name of the affected VST here, and we'll just load it up here. So movement allows you to you have 4 LFOs, and then you can apply them to effects rather than normally LFOs are like a synth thing and you apply it to like how the synth works. But in this case, you can load up different effects and then have these LFOs affect the effects somehow. And so it has 2 layers, so it plays the sound twice and then applies different effects to it. So then you can hear it with the effects here. Play it again here. So the way it works is, in this case, it's a delay. There's a couple of different delays, and then a compressor and a filter, and panning. It also moves the panning around, so it gives us this nice, like, movement around the stereo image. Hey, Laser Wolf, that is Battery 4, and the kit is the Telephone Tel Aviv kit. So a graphical asks, how do you enter the drum patterns, with pads or your MIDI device? So in this particular case, I programmed it in by like checking with my keyboard, by hitting keys on the keyboard, and then placing the notes on the grid with my mouse. But it depends on how I'm doing it. If I'm just doing like a kick snare pattern, I usually just perform that. But with like complex, like kind of glitchy stuff like I'm doing here, I usually enter it in with the mouse manually. So I haven't really decided if this is going to be, if this part is too energetic for the area. I'll let you listen to it again here, or we'll go back a bit. I don't think it's too much. We'll see when it's in the game. I'm gonna leave it in for now, and then we'll see as we all play the game and see what people think. I think it's fine as it is, but there's like sort of like a voice in the back of my head saying like, hey, this might be too much, but for now I'm choosing to not listen to it, to that voice. The other thing that I'm not really sure about is I still don't really like the snare. I think the snare sounds kind of weak. And it's supposed to be kind of quiet. I don't want it to be like this big, loud, like massive snare or anything. But I'm still not too fond of it. So at some point, not on the show, I'm just gonna go through like every snare sound I have until I find something I like. That would be way too boring for the show, so we're not gonna do it here. Oh, there's a question here that I totally missed. Grojos? Do you have any tips for song structure, like when to start a track or how long a piece track should be? How long it should be depends a lot on what you're making, you know, like what the track is for. But I generally, like, 3 minutes is sort of my guideline. Like, I try to make... If I don't have, like, a particular length that it's supposed to be, I try to have, like, 3 minutes of content for a piece, like, if it's in the background. As for structure, it's very easy, especially when you're starting out, to, and like really this happens to everyone, and it still happens to me, is you'll have this idea and you'll be like, oh, this is amazing, and you write it and you spend hours on it, and then you realize it's like 20 seconds long, and you're like, well, crap, now I need to make more to make a whole song. So you have to think about, right from the start, you have to think about, like, what is the pace of this? How can I stretch this out so that it fills an entire piece? So the first thing I want to say is, like, that's valid. If you're having a hard time filling in the space, and you feel like you spend all this time coming up with an idea and then it's like less than a minute long, and you're frustrated about it, that's okay. That's valid. That happens to everybody. It happens to me. It happens to professionals. That's normal. So don't worry about that. Just think about ways to get around it. So I think about, like, making a chord progression. So, like, here, the whole piece started from this. Here, I'll use this as an example. So it's a 4-part chord progression where one note changes each time. So it's 4 notes, and it's an arpeggiated pattern, so it sounds more complicated than what it is. But it's like this note, those 4 notes, and then this. And this. And then I space them out every 2 measures. I think it's every 2 measures, sure. So there's 1 chord, 2nd chord, 3rd chord, and the 4th one. And then I just repeat that 4 times. You can see here, here, I'll mark them so you can see. So 2, 3, and get rid of this. 4. So here at the top, you can see, like, this is the first spot, like this one too. So, like, here's those 4 chords. Here they are again and again and again. And that, if we hit this button here, and we can see the song length, that fits 1 minute 45 seconds. You have 1 minute and 45 seconds of song already. And then you think about what you can add and layer on top of those things. This is just how I do it. A lot of other people write differently, and even I write differently sometimes than this, but this is like a very common technique for me to do. And it's sort of like make a chord progression and then layer stuff on top of it. And that's one way to, like, think about pacing and structure. And then so after we do that, here I just, like, remove the chord progression entirely, and I just do some sort of, like, I just sort of played notes intuitively. Here, I'll make it a little easier to see. So label this 5, 6 here. So here, I keep the percussion going, and then I just have a couple of notes here and there from these 2 instruments. So that was me just sort of free form playing, and then sort of adjusting afterwards. And then by this point, here at marker 6, is when I decided it needed to have a new chord progression. So I came up with, like, there's not really a progression here, it's just like a few notes, these 4 notes. play it with something else that actually makes sense. That also doesn't sound great. Here, let's use this one. So it's those 4 notes. And that's all. It's not even, it's the weirdest chord. I don't even know what kind of chord you would call that, but because the notes are kind of clustered together. But anyway, so it's just that with the arpeggio. We add a bass line here. Graphico asks, where do you generally get your sounds from? Cubase, Ableton itself, or external sound packs? In the case of Below Zero, most of the sounds come from Omnisphere, which is a VST synth sampler thing that I love. I'm opening it up right now. Takes a second. Yeah, it's called Omnisphere. Pay no attention to the silly Spider-Man font. It is a fantastic synth and sampler. I love it. It's super easy to use. You can get a lot of great sounds out of it. It's amazing. It's also really expensive, so think about think about it before you go and purchase it. And a few other things that I'm using for Below Zero are Exhale. Exhale is a vocal engine, sort of. It's a sample library of vocals, but it also has... Whoops. Oh, geez. What did I do? There we go. And I'm using Battery for a lot of the percussion. Battery's a drum library. Fantastic also. And that movement effects thing that I showed you before. WZD asks, is this another jukebox piece or for a biome? This is for a biome. This is for the Kelp Caves section in the game. And you know what? We will play again. Yes, this is Cubase 10. So yeah, I'm probably going to do at least another 8 measures of something like this part. I'm going to continue this, just add another layer or so. But I don't know what it'll be yet. Hi, Hervmuth. Welcome. Yeah, I'm really happy with how this has come out. This might be one of my favorite pieces from the game so far. Uh-oh, I can hear Maddie. This will probably be a shorter show, just like an hour long, because I got a lot of other stuff I need to do today. But I will be hanging out in the Discord after after the show. So if you have other questions or anything, let me know. But we still got another 20 minutes or so. So feel free to ask other questions, and I will try to share more stuff. Here we go. Sonic asks, "Do you ever bank ideas or concepts that don't fit with the current theme project?" Yes, I totally keep those. I will often just write the part out in the track that I'm doing. Like, if I have an idea with an instrument or something, like I'll be like, oh, I really like that. I'll just like scroll past the thing and I'll just like record it in blank space. Right here, I'll be like, oh man, I gotta remember this part that I... And then I'll just keep it there and either write down that it's there, or I will like save it in a new project or something like that. Havax asks, how did you end up making music for games? So it's something that I always wanted to do. I wanted to, from a teenager, I wanted to work in games, and I couldn't. I wanted to originally do like game design and programming, but and I did a lot of programming in my own time when I was a teenager, but I did really poorly in school, so I couldn't get like any kind of scholarships, and didn't really have the money to go to like a 4-year school, so I ended up going to a 2-year program for audio engineering because I was also making music at the time. I was kind of a dabbler in my teenage years and like doing game design and programming and writing music. And but anyway, so it was like, thought maybe I would do like sound design for games. And went to school for audio engineering, taught myself to like write music, and taught myself the piano and a little bit of guitar. And I spent years and years trying to get into games and not really doing it. Did a lot of like small projects and projects where I didn't get paid, and eventually I got lucky because a friend of a friend knew someone working on FTL, and I got sort of attached to that project. I mean, I had to like prove that I could make music for it, but anyway, so it was a lot of effort and a lot of luck, and that's how I ended up making music for games. It took about 12 or so years of effort to get into games. Grafco asks, the instruments on your records always sound convincing and realistic. Any advice on how to do that, or is that just generally coming from experience and well-picked sound packs? So it's a little bit of both of those things. It's definitely experience and definitely picking the right sound sound packs or whatever, or like VSTs. It's also understanding how to use those things and when to not use those things. I know like when an instrument is going to sound unrealistic, and I usually just refrain from using it if I think it's going to sound unrealistic in a piece that I'm writing, and I will find some other way to write that part that I have in mind. It's also understanding like the relationship between velocity and realism, and listening to how people actually play these instruments, and like how the relationship between the velocity of each note and how they're played by a performer, and then trying to translate that into your work. Hope you earn enough for a living. I do this full time. I run my own company and I work independently, and it's great. But I also get realism simply by not using a lot of like real sounding instruments. A lot of this is like electronic. In fact, all of this is like I'm not trying to imitate any real instruments here. Subglitch asks, is it a common practice to hire a composer for future percentage of games revenue? It's not super common, but it's not unheard of either. If you're like a small indie developer, it's more common for a small indie developer to do a percentage of the game's revenue than like a big company. Corporations and like AAA game development studios hate that revenue share thing. They will not do it. But small indies, they don't have any money to begin with, so they're usually happy to like share that kind of like risk reward. So yeah, doesn't happen all the time, but it definitely has happened and can happen. Get rid of that thing that I made. Let's listen to the second part again. I also want to modify the bass line at some point. It's really basic. It's just like... It's not perfect though, and I kind of want it to be like an octave lower, but I think when I put it an octave lower, it doesn't sound very good. Yeah, it's like, can't even hear it. So I'm gonna have to figure out how to just undo that. So Subglitch asks, what is the normal amount of composers share then for an indie game? So you gotta understand there is no norm. Indies don't really have like a norm necessarily. I would think about the size of the team. If it's just you and one other person, I think you can reasonably ask. Okay, if it's you and one other person and you're making a lot of music for it, I think you can reasonably ask for a larger share. If it's a large team and you're just one part of the team, you're going to have to live with a smaller share. But hi, TJ. Yeah, maybe we could do that. I don't normally take suggestions from the chat, but this is a pretty basic one, so I'm going to do it. Might be too much, but we'll see. I think it works, yeah. Yeah, I would say if you're a composer, don't ask for anything less than like for an indie project. I would say don't go any lower than 10% revenue share, but I would try to go higher than that if you can. I've heard of situations where there was actually the project was just one developer and like one person who was doing coding, art, and programming, and then one person was doing the music, and they did a 50-50 split. So there's your high end of that 50-50, and then the absolute low end, which is 10%. Try to go somewhere between those two. The more the better. As I say to people who ask what they should ask for payment, I always say ask for however much you think you can get away with. Havix asks, do you feel studying sound engineering was important? I'm about to spend loads of money on Bachelor, and there's no guarantee at all I will get a job after. Well, you're in luck, because it just so happens that I wrote an entire article about that exact subject. So let me go find it. Because I get this question a lot, and so wanted to answer it. So here's an article on it. The short answer is there are a lot of ways that you can get an education in music without getting a degree. These days, a lot of the things that universities were really good at years ago are now things that the internet is also really good at. So I feel like colleges may be a little less relevant. However, it still can be really worth going. But you should just read the whole article because there's a lot of nuance in it, which is why I wrote an article instead of like a single tweet about it. Bitstorm asks, you say one guy was doing the music for 50%. Does the music guy typically cover sound effects too? Often the music person does sound effects as well, though not always. Again, it depends on the project. Big AAA game, it's never the music guy doing the sound effects. They have like separate teams. A lot of times with small indie projects, yes, you'll have the musician will also do sound effects. For FTL I did the sound effects and the music. These days I do not do sound effects because I hate doing it and I don't want to. Rather just do music stuff. Hey Thomas, it's doing good. Maria Music asks, what's your opinion on the 6% producing? I don't know what that means. Sorry. Okay, Kamaria says, from getting signed as a producer, you get 6% off whatever you help create. Producer of what? I guess I don't know the context here. Is this like something that was in the news recently? 6% of a game project? And are you talking a music producer or like producer as in project producer for like a game? I guess the 6%, yeah, depends on what the project is, I guess. Like, if you're a producer, that can mean like you write the music and make it, or it could mean that you're producing someone else's record. And yeah, I guess it depends on the project. Like, I am the producer of this music, but I also write the music, and I own nearly all the music I create. So I get 100%, which I guess includes 6%. Oh, hey, time traveler, congratulations on taking a final and finishing it. Hey there, Rockstar. We're just gonna take this whole thing, double it, keep going. Hey, thank you for the bits. Oh, it's not really a useful sign here. This is the only thing that I've shown today. A Graphco says you mentioned Ableton was better. For live music. Do you recommend Cubase over Ableton for non-live music, or is it more that you've just gotten really used to Cubase? Yeah, I think either one is fine for both. And I use Cubase mainly because I'm really good at it, and I've been using it for like 15 years now. But Ableton does pretty much the same thing. So I think either one will serve you just fine. And there's Maddie. Oh, she's trying to play. And got bored. I like that. Go back here. That's good. I like that. Let's at least put that in. Record here. Maddie, what are you trying to do? You gonna play some notes? Alright, Maddie's gonna try to play something, I think. She's looking at the note. Oh, she's deciding against it. Laserwolf asks, what's the device to the left of the mouse and keyboard? Well, besides a cat, this is the PreSonus fader port. I got it mainly to do automation for volume and panning. I got sick of automating volume and panning with the mouse and wanted to have a motorized fader that I could use. So the fader actually moves around. You can kind of see it here. Well, I'll just let's do a little bit here. If I load this up, Move the fader around. Hey, Maddie. If I move the fader around, you'll actually see the fader move the motor. Phoebe's not here, but if Phoebe were here, she goes crazy for that fader, the motorized fader. Anyway, no, it's called fader port. Maddie is very happy right now. It's great. Oh, hey, thanks for the raid, Tic Tac Foe. I love the name. So yeah, so I use it when I want to like record fader movement. And that's really the whole reason I got it. And then there's a knob here, and I use that to do to automate panning left and right, which I do a lot too. Hi, yes, everybody loves you. You're a star. So yeah, that's what that's for. It also has other controls, although it's not very extensive for like what it can do with. And there's Maddie again. Hi, Maddie. On my chair. What are you doing, Matt? She's bonking her head against mine. This is amazing. Hi, Maddie. Now how are you gonna get down? You're gonna have to move here so she can actually hop down onto the desk. So anyway, yeah. The fader port's useful for doing fader automation. That's it. Okay, see you later, time traveler. We'll be probably wrapping this up pretty soon anyway. Yeah, Havoc's, it's not easy. That's learning a digital audio workstation is incredibly difficult. Not gonna lie. Oh, Maddie's just decided to stay there. Here we go. Put the face cam up. There she is. Look at that little gremlin. You guys can't hear it, but she's purring super loud. She's very happy right now. Anyway, let's listen to this again. So for those of you who missed it earlier, I'll turn this down just for a second here. This is for the Kelp Caves section in Subnautica Below Zero. Just playing around with different sounds, seeing how it works out. This here? Yeah. Hi, Maddie. You know what we'll do? We'll just do this. Loop this part forever. That's kind of cool. Timing was really bad, but it's expected from me. Yeah, I can just do this forever. It's so fun. This is like some of the really fun parts of writing music. Is when you have an actually good groove going and then you can just sort of mess around with it. Let's try a different instrument. Captain Silverback, you're welcome. Thanks for joining. Lurking is totally fine. Different instrument. Hey, Kman600, thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed FTL, and I'm glad to hear that you're excited about Below Zero. There were some people who were not excited about me working on Below Zero, so really glad to hear when people are excited. K-Man also has a question. What is your favorite song from the FTL soundtrack? I think NG Battle is probably my favorite. That or Rockmen Battle. I really like the battle tracks. I actually don't really care for the explore tracks. Well, a lot of people wanted the original composer for Subnautica, so, and I can understand that. But yeah, anyway, NG Battle was like, for FTL, was pretty much, in my mind, to like the accumulation of like everything I wanted the FTL soundtrack to be. sort of like all came together in NG Battle. Lost Ship Battle. Oh man, yeah, that's another good one. That's a favorite of the other developers too. I think they really liked Lost Ship Battle. I have a really extensive, like 8-minute long live version of Lost Ship Battle that I perform at shows, and it's so fun. And at some point I will do a recording of it and post that somewhere. Lost Ship Battle Live was like the first live piece that I ever did, and it was really fun to do. It's not available any. Well, if you go on YouTube, there might be some videos of it on my YouTube channel, but it's not like in any format that's like sellable. But I hope to actually record it sometime and post it in an album or something. Anyway, let's listen to the entire piece one more time, and then we'll wrap this up for today. I'll be back on Friday. More stuff. Also, after the show, I will be hanging around in the Discord. So, if you have any more questions or you just want to chat or whatever, I will be around. If you want to join the Discord, it is down below. There's a link on the page. Scroll down a bit and you'll find it. Anyway, I'll turn this down a little. Thanks for everybody for joining. We're gonna wrap this up for today, and but I'll be back on Friday, and I'll show off whatever new stuff I've written. I will not be here next week. I'm going to be abroad. I'll be in France with the rest of the Subnautica team. But yeah, I'll be back on Friday, and thanks everybody for all the great questions, and thanks for joining and watching, and come by the Discord after the show here, and we will talk music. You can ask questions there too. But yeah, thanks everybody, and I will see you on Friday.
you